comfort and serenity. And let me just talk briefly about those. Contentment is a feeling of satisfaction that comes from within. It really is not dependent on external circumstances. There's a wonderful line in Lao Tzu that I like. He who contains content remains content. So if you possess contentment, you can be in a positive emotional state wherever you are, whatever your circumstances. And I think comfort is similar, that comfort is an internal sense of ease. Actually, the word comes from the root meaning of strength and suggests that strength comes from being in that easy position where you're centered. Again, something that has to do with the internal arrangement of yourself and not external circumstances. And serenity, I believe, is a wonderful quality to strive for. That's the placidity of a still lake, for example, or a calm day. And if you have serenity, I think you can maintain that and not be thrown that far off balance, whatever the ups and downs of external circumstances and fortune. So these three characteristics, contentment, comfort, and serenity, to me define emotional sea level, where we want to be more of the time. And very positive emotional states, bliss, ecstasy, maybe we experience these once in a while. And I think it's okay to be depressed once in a while. I'm not talking about severe depression that interferes with the activities of daily living and with work and ability to relate to others. But I think it's normal to have swings of mood up and below emotional sea level. And in addition, I think there may be value in experiencing depression some of the time, mild to moderate depression. Depression is a state of internal focus, and some recent research suggests that evolution may have adapted us to experience depression as a means of problem solving, because when we are emotionally depressed and our focus is inward, we can intensely focus on a problem and maybe come up with a solution. This is new research suggesting a positive aspect of depression, and this is in the field of evolutionary psychology, an interesting new field. So ideas worth considering. Nothing in this prescription is intended as a substitute for good medical or psychiatric diagnosis if you're experiencing severe emotional problems. Nothing that presented in this program is intended as a replacement for psychiatric drugs that you may have been prescribed. I'm not suggesting that you stop taking antidepressant drugs or anti-anxiety drugs. Certainly no one who has ever been diagnosed with major depression or with bipolar disorder should consider using any of this information in place of conventional medical treatment. So in this spontaneous happiness prescription, I'm going to give you advice, prescription advice, about ways that you can change your lifestyle, your diet, about ways you can retrain your mind, about things you can do to improve your spiritual well-being, all of which contribute to emotional wellness and will help you spend more time at emotional sea level and open yourself more to the possibility of spontaneous happiness. When I was in medical school, I learned that emotional disorders often were symptoms of medical disorders. I mean, obvious correlations are with endocrine problems, such as depression with hypothyroidism, for example, or mania with disorders of the pituitary gland or adrenal glands. But I think that the correlations of mental and emotional states with physical well-being go way beyond that. We commonly see depression associated with many kinds of disease, cardiovascular disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, for example. And all of this suggests to me that one of the areas that has to be addressed in a prescription for spontaneous happiness is physical well-being. So at the start of this program, I want to urge you to make sure that you don't have any physical problems that may be contributing to suboptimal emotional wellness. And that means probably getting a general medical checkup if you haven't had one in a reasonable time, including necessary blood work and so forth. And this is particularly true if you have any familial illnesses that might impact mental state. And simply take care of this first to just make sure that any medical problems that might be contributing to emotional problems are corrected. And then beyond that, there are many things that you can do on a physical level to affect your emotional states. And I'd like to begin by talking about diet and nutrition. This is an area of great interest to me. And I've come across new research that I found very surprising that I want to share with you.